Hey everybody and welcome back to the channel. I was able to check out the 6th installment in the Final Destination franchise, Final Destination Bloodlines. So, in this video, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the film, and I'm also going to be revisiting my Final Destination death tier list I made about a month ago, and placing all of the new kills in Bloodlines on that tier list. So, if you haven't checked out that video, make sure to go to my channel and do so, as I ranked every single death from Final Destination 1 till Final Destination 5. I'm also going to be discussing everything with spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen Bloodlines, make sure to go out and see it first and then come back to this video. If you want my quick, spoiler-free thoughts, if you're a fan of the first 5 films in this franchise, you'll like Bloodlines. If you don't like the Final Destination franchise, this film isn't going to change your mind at all. So, with all of that out of the way, let's jump into my review and the new tier list update. Alright, jumping into my thoughts on the new Final Destination Bloodlines film, I had a really fun time with this movie. It delivers on all of the bloody, gory deaths we come to expect with the Final Destination franchise, and I think it's overall a really good entry to a franchise we haven't seen a film from in, 12 plus years at this point. I really enjoy how new CGI kind of breathes new life into the franchise. A lot of those older films, they were dealing with kind of that shoddy mid 2000s CGI that, in my opinion, hasn't aged the best in any sort of genre. But in horror, it definitely seems a little bit cheesier to me. So it's kind of nice to see a Final Destination franchise that have, refreshed effects. I think back to Final Destination 3 with that opening roller coaster scene. The CGI just does not look that good to me, even though I love the concept of that premonition at the beginning of that film. So just kind of seeing this film, look so good in 2025 was definitely something, that was refreshing. I enjoyed seeing. I do feel like there was a little bit too much CGI, though, throughout Bloodlines. I really wish they would utilize some more practical effects. I just can't really think of anything that stood out to me as a great practical effect in Bloodlines. Everything just seemed to be CGI, especially during that giant sky tower opening premonition scene. I'm like, this felt just a little bit too much CGI overload for me. Thankfully, that got toned down as we got to the present day in the film. But regardless, I still had a lot of fun. My favorite character in the film was Tony Todd's cameo. Rest in peace to Tony Todd, but I'm so glad he was able to come back to this franchise one last time. And it's honestly a wonderful send off to his character. And if this is the last role he had, I'm not sure if there's anything in post production that he starred in. It's a great role to send off, especially with some of the dialogue that he hints at there towards the end, just kind of about enjoying life, enjoying your short time on this earth. I just thought that was a great moment for the movie. I do think some of the other dialogue, in between the death scenes runs a little long here. This is the longest Final Destination film at 110 minutes. I believe the first 5 never go above like 100 minutes. So, there's a lot of that family bickering and kind of like the mom who walked out and then the grandma who was locked up for 20 years. I felt like some of it dragged on a bit too long. For a Final Destination franchise, I'm fine with a 90-minute film. Just throw at me some, throw some gore and blood at me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for a fun time. But even though if there was a little bit too much dialogue, it wasn't anything that took me out of the film, made me extremely bored, anything like that. And that's mostly because the kills were a lot of fun. You'll see on my tier list in a few moments here, I enjoyed the majority of the kills in Final Destination Bloodline. I absolutely loved that MRI machine, dual kill. That was probably my personal favorite. I love the homage to Final Destination 2 with the final kill with the 2 logs falling off the back of the train that crashes. And just a lot of fun, inventive kills here. I don't think there's one that absolutely blew me away. Nothing here is, the Final Destination truck scene from Final Destination 2. None of it's the gymnastics scene from Final Destination 5. But none of these are horrific. Nothing here is Final Destination 4 terrible, in my opinion. So, that's really good. Overall, I think this film is kind of middling in the franchise for me. I was kind of thinking about that on my drive home, just kind of where I rank this new film in kind of this franchise. And at the moment, without letting Bloodlines sink in too much, my initial gut reaction rankings is going to be Final Destination 2, Final Destination 1, Final Destination 5, Final Destination 6, Bloodlines, this new one, then Final Destination 3, and then, in a far, far distant last place is Final Destination 4, because that movie is just awful. But overall, I mean, this film delivers on what the Final Destination franchise always promises. Death is going to kill people in some unique way. There's going to be a lot of blood, a lot of gore, and it was just fun seeing an updated version of this film. So definitely let me know what your thoughts were on this film in the comments below overall. I think I would rate this like a high, like 6 out of 10 overall. It's not quite a 7 for me, but it's a decent film. It's one that I'm happy to throw on and watch again in the future. But I'm not dying to revisit it or anything. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a solid 6 out of 10. And with that, I think I'm going to transition now over to the tier list so we can place the Final Destination Bloodlines kills on the massive Final Destination Death tier list. Alright, and here is my tier list for Final Destination 1 through 5. If you want to check out me talking about every single kill from the first 5 films in the franchise, check out my channel. It was my previous video. But before I rank the new ones, I have to shout out the person who made this tier list on Tiermaker. His username is Nicholas. He already has this updated with all of the kills from Final Destination Bloodlines. I'll have this tier list linked in the description below if you want to make your own. But let's just jump right into these kills. Up first, we have the Skyview Tower restaurant premonition scene, and I had a great time with this. I love how long this premonition is. It definitely is the longest premonition scene in any Final Destination film, and it really builds up. There's a lot of tension, a lot of different things going on, and I love how there's multiple different, horrific accidents that take place. First, there's kind of that penny that gets thrown out that kicks off the string of events, but then the floor starts, breaking when that chandelier crystal falls and cracks it. So there's a few different things going on that really heighten the tension. To me, I think this is probably my third favorite premonition scene in the Final Destination franchise. I don't think it's good as the bridge from Final Destination 5 or Route 23 from Final Destination 2, but I'm going to put it up here at the top of the B tier. Up next is Iris Campbell, who is the grandma in Bloodlines, and she rushes out to give her granddaughter the book, and then that giant wind vein goes through the back of her skull and out her mouth. This was a very sudden and brutal death that I really, really enjoyed. This is up there for my favorite death in Bloodlines, and I think I am going to have to put this one at the back half of the A tier. I just love how sudden and gory it was. I love that splatter effect and just how brutal it looked. Up next is Howard Campbell, who is the uncle, and he is the one who steps on the shard of glass and then trips over himself and then gets the lawnmower blade to the head. Definitely a fun Rube Goldberg kill. I enjoyed the build up to it. However, the payoff didn't really live up to what it was building up to, in my opinion. I kind of prefer the engine fan to the back of the skull that happened in an earlier Final Destination film, but it's still enjoyable at the end of the day. I do think I'm going to put this one... I think I'm going to put this one kind of towards the top of the C tier. Up next is Julia, who is one of the cousins, and she is the one who gets crushed to death in the garbage truck. And I really love the hidden comedy behind this kill. Obviously, they're walking down the street, and she kind of points out that weird string of events that could take place, and it doesn't, and they're kind of joking about it. But then Julia starts jogging down the street, and that weird string of events happens. She gets knocked in the head with a ball, falls into the trash can, and then she goes into the garbage truck. It's probably one of the more avoidable deaths in the new Final Destination film. She could have easily climbed out of that, in my opinion. But nonetheless, very gory kill when she gets crushed by that compactor. And just kind of that comedic timing at the beginning is a lot of fun. I think this one is going to go in the B tier for me, and I think it's going to go right next to Brian Gibbons, as he has that really comedic death at the end of Final Destination 2. Up next is Eric, and this is another brutal kill that I love. He's the one who has all of his piercings ripped out by the MRI machine, and then he kind of gets stuck to it, and his back breaks, and he gets fully sucked into the machine. Absolutely brutal. A lot of fun. This is another kill I really, really enjoy. I think this one is probably going to have to go towards the top of the B tier for me. It's kind of the same as Kat Jennings for me, where she kind of gets that impalement through the back of her head. It's very sudden, very gory. I really like that, and I think these two are pretty comparable for me. Then we have Bobby Campbell, who is the other one that gets sucked into the MRI machine. He is choking to death because he ate the peanut butter cups, and then his wheelchair that he's sitting in goes in as well. And then the spring from the vending machine gets launched into his head and starts spinning around kind of like a blender in his head. A lot of fun too. I don't think it's as fun as Eric's in my opinion, even though it is very inventive for this franchise. I don't think it's as fun as Julia's either. I think it is better than his father's death. So I think I'm going to put Bobby's at the back half of the B category here. Then up next is Darlene Campbell, who is the mother of Stephanie and Charlie, our two main leads. And this is the most boring kill in Final Destination Bloodlines. A giant electrical tower just kind of collapses on her during the climax of the film. It's just kind of boring overall. It's definitely the biggest letdown. You just don't see a whole lot. There's not a lot of gore. She kind of has like a burned face when it happens, just due to other things that took place before her death. But overall, a big letdown. To me, this is kind of comparable to Eugene and Clear Rivers, who kind of blow up in that hospital accident at the end of Final Destination 2. So I think I'm going to put it down there next to those two. And then now we have the final two deaths in Final Destination Bloodlines, and that is the brother and sister of Stephanie and Charlie. And they're the ones that has the train derail, and then the two logs fly off and crush them both before the title card pops up. Excellent callback to Final Destination 2's premonition with the truck scene. It is a lot of fun. We have seen some homages throughout the Final Destination franchise, but I think this is the best one in my opinion, just because I wasn't expecting the logs to come over the end there. With that being said, it's just kind of a quick splat. It's more fun just because it has that callback factor, a little bit of nostalgia sprinkled in there. It just doesn't have the build-up even to Howard's kill from this one. However, I do really appreciate that build-up, so I do think I'm going to put Stephanie and Charlie towards kind of the upper half of the C category here. So there you have it. This is my complete Final Destination death tier list. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Feel free to talk about the other films that I have ranked here as well. I had a lot of fun putting this together in my previous video and watching the new one to update this one. So definitely let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to thank you for checking out my review and tier list update for Final Destination Bloodlines. Please let me know what you thought about the video in the comments down below. I kind of haven't done these standalone single movie reviews in quite some time, so if you enjoy it, it's definitely something I'm open to do in the future because I am always checking out brand new movies and I'm usually reviewing them on my TikTok channel and not my YouTube channel, so if you're interested in seeing some more of these, please let me know because I can definitely make that happen. But other than that, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel as I have some other video thoughts in the pipeline that should be coming in the coming months. So I hope to see you back for those. Thank you, and have a good one, everybody.